You know, when it came to Blindside, I already knew that Sweden had a killer music scene. Can't say I really knew what I expected when trying my first French band, which weirdly wasn't the subject of today's episode but the one after, but that's for then and this is for now. Chunk, no Captain Chunk, was first formed in Paris, France in 2007. They've kept a mostly consistent lineup since then. Their last album was released in 2015, and the band are currently on hiatus, and I just hope that they come back strong. Sure, they weren't really challenging the modern-day heavy pop-punk genre too much, but they did so mostly with the intention of sounding like that, without intending at all to sound like bands such as The Day to Remember and 4 Years Strong. I assume it's because I've never seen the members of CNCC with awesome beards. Beards don't make the music, the band does. And I'm going to tell you how well CNCC made theirs. Now, let's hit the music. We start with the band's debut album, Something for Nothing, released in 2010 through In Vogue, then re-released a year later through Fearless. The album was produced by lead singer slash keyboardist Bertrand Poncet, or Ponce, and is their longest album at 44 minutes and 6 seconds. First, band background. The original lineup was lead singer Bertrand Poncet, his brother Eric on lead guitar, Pearl Wilson quarterboard on rhythm guitar, Vincent Donner on bass, and Jonathan Donace on drums. Vincent left before the band got started, being replaced by current bassist Matthias Reigel. And yes, they did take their name from the Goonies because why not? It's a good name. Anyway, the band found it difficult in their native country to get recognition because there isn't a huge alternative music scene in France, but when not touring there, they're a lot more free to be themselves. They released an EP on the interwebs, it gained traction, then a bit later they came out with their debut. Yay! For this album in particular, some of the songs were from their debut EP, which usually really isn't that unusual. But what is that the band didn't really write any new songs for it. They used music that they'd written and recorded before, not to mention songs on their EP, and sort of went on that. Even the production was a fair bit slapdash, as Bert was using stuff from a book about mixing records, and if it wasn't in the book, he just used Google and searched it up online. I feel like I should mention that the only album I've listened to of the bands is their most recent one, so I wasn't expecting this one to be as heavy as it is, but another thing I didn't expect were the pop influences. There's a lot of them, but it works well with the album structure, and I quite like it. For the purposes of this album, I found the In Vogue version because it has 2 extra songs not in the Fearless version, titled Alex Kidd in Miracle World and MILF. No, I'm not kidding, there is a song called MILF. Anyway, those were replaced with one song on the Fearless version titled Make Them Believe, which was actually a bonus track on the Japanese release of the album when it was in Vogue, so yeah, that's weird. The instrumental work is pretty good and it's balanced well. The lyrics are, well, they're good if a bit basic for a modern-day pop-punk band, songs about friendships, relationships, and if I need to tell you what MILF is even about, then God bless your innocent soul. But it does actually manage to strike a good balance between goofy antics and goofy charm, and it's due to the band itself, if you ask me. Bert's screams and singing are pretty good despite his heavy accent, and his keyboard playing sounds great too. Eric and Paul both play well on the guitar with chugging breakdowns and heavy riffs. Matthias' bass work is thick with a good tone and groove. Jonathan's just a great drummer for the genre with speed, power, and punch. Standard songs include We Fell Fast, Summer Heat, and Friends We Trust for All We Know, and my favourite in singles Rainbow in brackets, SOS. Something from Nothing is an appropriate title for an album like this, and it's well produced and charming and fun. I can recommend it. It doesn't push boundaries, but it's enjoyable, so yeah. We then reached their second album, Pardon My French. Released in 2013, it would mark a label change to Fearless, and producer Joey Sturgis, not Dewey Sturgis for people behind the booth for this one, which works well with leading into the background portion. So after their debut, the band signed a major deal with Fearless, who the band said was one of their favourite labels, which is nice. And one of the benefits of having a producer for this one was that Bert could write songs and he had more free time, and that does sort of show here. It gives the album a different feel to their debut, and while we'll get more to that later, it is worth bringing up now. After signing with Fearless, the band wound up touring throughout 2011 and 2012 with pretty big bands at the time, like Attack Attack, Chelsea Grin and Miss May I, their own Punk Goes Pop 4 covering Cash's We Are Who We Are, and they were even part of the label-exclusive Fearless Friends tour, helmed by fellow Fearless Chinese such as Bless the Fall, The Word Life, Tonight Alive, and Motionless in White. However, despite all of this success, Jonathan Donace would leave a year after this album's release to be with his fiancée, replaced by current drummer Bastien Lefay. So, can't win them all, really. Another benefit of touring across the United States was how it helped the band get over the language barrier. Sure, Bert definitely had an accent on their debut, but in the 3 years between albums, they actually learned more English just from touring America, despite all being taught English at their school, in France. And even after this album's release, things were still awesome. Jonathan's departure aside, the band continued to tour in America with big names. They released a deluxe edition of this album in 2014, and fan hype would continue to grow. One thing that helped a lot with this one was having someone as good as Joey Sturgis on deck to help. For a dude who produces for a lot of metalcore bands, he managed to capture a very pop-punk essence to this one too, and it allowed the band to write original music, which also shows. They were given a lot of freedom, but they didn't get lazy, and they kept things balanced between how heavy and playful both genres could be. One thing that was sacrificed was the lack of keyboards, but Bert was allowed to focus more on singing and songwriting, so kudos to Joe for stepping up. The production really helped the already solid structure, giving it a bounce and catchiness that I really like, with the lyrics going over familiar territory like love, not conforming for your things, standing up for oneself, but presented in a fresh enough way. And the band are just as big a part of that as Joey is. Bert's vocals definitely sound a lot better and more polished with his screams and singing executed greatly. Eric and Paul both provide great chokes and solid riffs. Matthias plays along well on bass with a good tone and drive. And Jonathan's last album with the band is still crushing, heavy, and fast and mean. Standout songs include the title track, Hate Is Gonna Hate, Bipolar Minds, I'm Nothing Like You, and my favourite in Miles and Decibels. Bolstered by great structure, production, and a sense of freedom, Pardon My French still maintains the band's charm and boosts everything that was already awesome way up. I can recommend this one too. And finally, we reach the band's so far last album, Get Lost, Find Yourself. Released in 2015, the band stays with Fearless, but Carl Black produces this time. It's also the band's shortest album at 34 minutes and 45 seconds, along with the shortest gap between albums, over 2 years, and obviously for the last 2 is 3 years, so yeah. And also, since Carl Black was on this album producing, you already know that I'll have good things to say about this one, and believe me, I done does, because I like Carl Black, he's good. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this was my first CNCC album in full, and it came at a time where I thought I was tired of the pop-punk style that was the norm back then, but this was one of the albums of that year to revive my hope in it. Although it didn't make my best of 2015 list, I'd like to give it a belated honorable mention for reminding people that pop-punk is supposed to be fun. This is a good example of that. To be fair though, I don't really have as much background for this as I did for the last two. Pardon My French was successful, the band got their due and began touring again, and 2 years after that, this came out. And Jonathan Durnay's left some time in between. Basically, what I just said is what I said about Pardon My French, but condensed a little bit. One thing I like to talk about is the change in producer. Whereas Joey Sturgis knows how to capture essence in metalcore bands a bit better, Carl Black knows how to capture it more for pop-punk. And this album came out 2 months after the awesome Summer Bands by Hit the Lights, which Carl Black also produced on, and is also a great album from 2015. If that album provided the name Carl Black to the world, then this one solidified it, as he produces not just brilliant pop-punk, but surprisingly awesome metalcore too. There's so much more balanced and measured style to this one, but it's not without its heavy moments. There are plenty of screams to be had, plenty of bendier metal riffs, but they blend seamlessly into the pop-punk parts and vice versa. The structure and solid songwriting is another thing that lends to that too. There's some uses of acoustic guitar, with the title track being completely acoustic, but it doesn't break the flow or tone, it fits in really well with everything else. And the lyrics go over sort of different grounds too. There's still some relationship stuff, but it's mostly about the band's journey to this point. How they miss their home, their friends, their family, and adds a little story to some songs. It's heartwarming and not stuffed down our throats. It's also the band's most restrained work, and it works well for them because the band put the work in for themselves, and they work hard, girl. Bert's clean singing has more inflection to it, and his screams still sound badass. Eric and Paul's guitar chokes and riffs well, with even a rare solo from the former, which is nice. Matthias' bass work is groovy, chuggy, and heavy, and Bastian fits the mold well with the new drummer, as the new drummer, hitting hard, fast, and having fun. Standout songs include the title track, Set It Straight, Worst Case Scenario, and my favourite in What Goes Around. Get Lost, Find Yourself is short, but it's definitely sweet, with balance, punch, restraint, charm, and really good songwriting. I can highly recommend it. So, let's round them up. My most favourite is definitely Get Lost, Find Yourself. It's still fun and charming, and it's the change of pace that the band needed at the time, with Carl Black working absolute wonders behind the booth. And I just really enjoy it. Least favourite is maybe Something From Nothing, but I don't even hate it. I just feel like the band got better as they went along. If I had one criticism, it was that having to do a lot at once to sort of weighing everyone else down a bit. But the album is ultimately still good, and it's still a fun listen. And even though it's the band's longest album, it's not overly long, it doesn't drag on. Just really enjoyable, so yeah. Anyway, that'll about wrap it up. Next time we stay in France, but move to a different place in France, as we cover a different punk band from France. I'm saying France a lot. The Decline. Thank you for watching. You're awesome. Bye-bye. Oh, I should actually give an update on that. I'll probably start working on that episode tomorrow, and the episode should be out on Wednesday, because tomorrow I've got a new... Hopefully I've got a Fire the Night review, I don't know. And I've got some albums to listen to that came out that I sort of missed yesterday. So, yeah. See you all then, and I'll hit you with the sign off again, because why the hell not. Thank you for watching, you're awesome, bye-bye.